Excuse me waiter, I ordered a steak. But I noticed the methionine 3-anyl glutaminyl alanil prolyl 3-anyl phenylalanil 3-anyl glutaminyl prolylosyl glutaminyl cyryl valil Allyl 3-anyl esylalanil asparaginil cyryl glycylarginil tyrosyl cyrylosyl esylalanil 3-anyl asparaginil glycyl cyryl glycyl glutaminyl Nulvalyl 3-anyl glycylisolosyl prolyl asparaginil prolyl valil phenylalanil tyrosylarginil aspartyl glycylalanil glutamylysol Lutamyl glutamyl valyl prolylalanil isyl 3-anyl esyl 3-anyl isolosyl valyl cyryl 3-anyl alanil glutaminyl isolosyl cyryl glutami 3-anyl prolylarginil isolosyl prolyl isyl cyrylarginil cyryl prolyl 3-anyl prolyl cyryl isolosyl alanil Glutaminyl alanil cyryl 3-anyl valililanil 3-anyl glycyl prolyl glutamyl prolyl tryptophyl esyl glutaminyl glutamyl gly Valyl 3-anyl isolosyl cyryl glycylalanil alanil cyryl valil cyryl tyrosylalanil alanil Rolylalanil glutaminyl valylarginil esyl glutamyl alanil glutamyl isyl 3-anyl alanil valyl 3-anyl esyl valilva Il glutamyl isyl 3-anyl phenylalanil valyl prolyl isyl valilsolosyl cyrylalanil alanil isylalanil isyl glutamyl glutaminyl glutam Cylarginil glutaminyl valyl glutaminyl isolosyl 3-anyl glutamyl isyl methionylarginil esyl glutamyl alanil glutamyl Istidyl glycyl esyl valil aspartyl valyl glycyl esyl isylalanil glutamyl alanil valylalanil 3-anyl valililanil alanil valylaspartyl Larginil valilsolosyl glutaminyl alanil prolyl cyryl glutamyl 3-anyl istidyl isolosyl isyl 3-anyl aspartyl glutaminyl isyl Aryl valil prolyl isyl 3-anyl glutamyl istidyl glycyl tyrosyl glutamyl alanil cyrylisolosyl alanil glycyl cyrylalanil isolosyl alanil 3 Glutamyl valyl isyl glutamyl valyl glycyl cyrylisolosyl 3-anyl glycyl 3-anyl valilarginil glutamyl Usyl glutamyl cyryl valil 3-anyl usyl glutamyl cystinyl istidyl isolosyl cyryl glycyl tyrosyl prolyl 3-any Nil glycyl 3-anyl valil cyryl cystinyl tyrosylosyl alanil valyl glutaminyl phenylalanil glutam Glycyl glutamyl prolylalanil tyrosyl phenylalanil isolosyl 3-anyl esyl prolyl valil glutaminyl isolosyl valyl glutam Lasparty lalanil glycyl glutamyl tyrosyl 3-anyl isolosyl valylarginil asparaginil esyl istidyl glycyl glutamyl 3-anyl cyrylalanil 3-anyl alanil prolyl glycyl phenylalanil valyl tyrosyl cyryl glutamyl isyl glutamyl glutami Elaspartyl glycyl glutamyl isyl methionyl alanil valylasparty lisolosyl cyryl glutamyl alanil valyl glutamyl cyryl gly Cylarginil isolosyl isyl istidyl glycyl glutamolarginil tyrosyl glutaminyl methionyl aspartyl phenylalanil usyl glutaminyl aspartyl glic Arylarginil isolosyl arginil cyryl prolylarginil cyryl valil cyrylarginil cyryl prolyl isolosyl arginil methionyl cyryl prolylal Alanil valilosyl isyl prolyl valil cyryl phenylalanil isyl cystinyl usyl glutamyl glycylalanil asparaginil cystinyl arginil phenylalan Tryptophyl 3-anyl valililanil glutaminyl asparaginil arginil alanil glycylarginil cyrylisolosyl cyryl valilsolosyl usalt Sparaginil prolylasparty lisolosyl valil tryptophyl usyl isylasparaginil cyrylasparty lisolosyl valil prolylistidyl esylti Mil prolyl glutamyl arginil isolosyl prolylarginil glycyl 3-anyl tyrosylarginil alanil isyl glutamyl Losyl 3-anyl cyrylosyl arginil usyl isylarginil phenylalanil glycyl prolylalanil istidyl phenylalanil glutamyl cystinyl arginil EU Arginilalanil 3-anyl asparaginil esyl tyrosyl glycyl 3-anyl aspartyl istidyl 3-anyl cyrylalanil 3-anyl usyl isolosyl valil isyla Il glutaminyl isyl isyl prolylasparty lisolosyl valilosyl tyrosyl prolyl glutamyl prolyl arginil valilok Dirosylaspartyl 3-anyl glycyl glutamyl valil isyl valil 3-anyl alanil glutamyl asparaginil prolyl glycyl valilisolosyl glutami Nil glutamyl valil glutaminyl isyl valilaspartyl arginil prolyl valilaspartyl 3-anyl glutamyl 3-anyl esyl glutamyl valil valioli Isil 3-anyl esylaspartyl glutamalosylosal listidil tryptophyl 3-anyl esyl glutamalosal 3-anyl glutamal isyl 3-anyl valyl glycyl glutaminil glycyl cyrilasparty lalanyl listidil phenylalanil arginyl valyl glycyl esyl prolylaspart alanyl glycyl glutamal 3-anyl cyrillistidy lalanyl phenylalanilosylosal valyl glutaminil alanil isyl glutaminilosylosal lysyl methionil glutamal valylistidil glutamal glycyllaspartyl isyl tyrosylarginyl methionil listidil cyrilasparty larginyl esyl valylist Urocylceryl glycyl glutamalosal glutamal cystinylissolosal valyl cyryl prolyl glutamal asparaginylissolosal glutamal glycyl esyl triptop aryl phenylalanil valylissolosal aspartyl glycyl esyl isyl 3-anyl 3-anyl cystinyl isyl methionil isyl prolylarginyl proly Cyrillistidil methionilosylosal glutamal aspartyl methionil 3-anyl esyl glutamal asparty lalanyl glycyl asparaginyl tyrosi Tinyl isyl valyl cyryl valyl prolylaspartyl valyl 3-anyl cyryl valyl esyl tryptophyl tyrosylosal asparaginyl aspartyl glutamal glutamina Ginyl glycylosal arginyl aspartyl aryl 3-anyl cystinyl 3-anyl glutamal 3-anyl glutaminal asparaginyl valyl phenylalanil gluta Paraginyl methionil methionil isylaspartyl aspartyl glutamal glycyl esyl tyrosyl 3-anyl phenylalanil tyrosylalanil glycyl glutamal aspara Sparaginyl asparaginylissolosal arginyl cyryl glutamal cyrilaspartyl glycylistidil esylarginyl arginylosylissolosal alanila Rienyl glutaminal asparty lalanyl valyl phenylalanil 3-anyl valyl glutamalosal 3-anyl listidil prolylasparaginyl valyl esyl glycyl valley Lil glutamal 3-anyl valyl esylissolosal isyl prolyl isylaspartyl valyl 3-anyl alanilosal glutamal asparaginyl alanylt Osyl methionilosal glutaminal asparaginylissolosal cyryl prolyl cyryl asparty lalanyl glycyl glutamal tyrosyl 3-anyl alanyl valyl gly Glutamalissolosal glutamal methionil cyryl glutamal isyl phenylalanil isylissolosal valyl glutaminil glycyl esylosolistidil glu Il cyryl methioniluracil isylaspartyl isolosal asparaginyl alanil glutamal isylaspartyl 3-anyl isolosal 3-anyl phenylalanil Phenylalanil valylalanil glycyl esylalanil 3-anyl cyryl 3-anyl alanil 3-anylosyl tyrosyl valyl glutamal alanil arginylistidil Glutaminil glutamalosal glutaminilsolosal 3-anyl asparty larginylissolosal isylissolosal glutaminil isyl glutamal isyl tyrosilval Glutamal phenylalanil glutamal valylasparaginyl glutamal asparty laspartyl valylasparty lalanilistidil tryptophyl tyrosyl esylaspartylgal Urosyl 3-anyl phenylalanil valylalanil glycylarginyl asparaginyl arginyl cyryl valyl 3-anylosyl tyrosyl valyl asparaginyl alanilp Elosolistidil aspartyl glycyl glutaminil glutamal tyrosyl 3-anylosyl glutamal alanil phenylalanil prolyl gluta Prolylalanilsolosal 3-anyl prolylosyl glutaminal aspartyl 3-anyl valyl 3-anyl cyryl glutamal glycyl glutaminal prolylal Syl 3-anyl tyrosyl 3-anyl phenylalanil valylalanil asparaginyl alanil valyl glycyl glutaminal valyl cyryl 3-anyl alanil Glycylosolistidil cyrilalanil glutamalosal glutaminilosal cyrilisylsolosal asparaginyl glutamal 3-anylosyl glutamalosal Enilalanil phenylalanil asparaginyl glycyl valylosilosal 3-anyl prolyl cyrilalanil aspartyl tyrosyl esyl phenylalanil valyl phenylala Larasyl isylissolosal asparaginyl cyrilysyl glycyl glutamal glycylistidil esylaspartyl 3-anyl glutamal cyrilalanil Losyl cystinyl 3-anyl cyryl valyl tyrosyl 3-anyl isolosal asparaginyl prolylasparaginyl glycyl cyryl glycylt Laspartyl 3-anyl aspartyl methionil 3-anyl aspartyl 3-anyl prolyl cystinyl isylalanil isyl cyryl 3-anyl prolyl glutamal alanil proly Elasparaginyl glutamalosal cyryl glutaminilosal prolylosyl glycylalanil glutaminil cyrilisolosyl Isolosal valyl glutaminal cyryl glutaminil isyl 3-anyl phenylalanil cyrilysyl glutamal glycylissolosal methionil prolyl glutamalg Listidil cyryl tyrosilosal 3-anyl cyryl valylalanil glutamal valylosyl cyrilosyl isyl glutamal isyl 3-anyl valyl cyrilus Methionilisolosal cyryl glutaminal valylasparaginyl tyrosyl glutamal prolylosyl valyl prolyl cyryl glutamalistidil cyryl cystinyl 3-o Nul prolel prolilaspertil glutaminol isolosal glutamal cyrilis ilarginil glutamal prolil valililanol isolosilisilvalilgal. Enolcyryl glutamal glutaminol prolil glycylosal phenylalanil cyryl glutamal tryptophyllosal arginil asparaginil isolosal glutamal isilv. Elalanilosal cystinolalanyl isolosal tyrosyl glutamal isolosal aspartyl isolosal 3-anilalanil glutamal gly. Cyryl 3-anyl glutamal valyl cyryl tyrosyl phenylalanil asparaginil valyl glutaminol cyryl arginil valylysyl tyrosilosal aspartyl. Prolil methionil isolosal 3-anyl prolilosal valylaspartyl 3-anyl valylcyryl glutamal glycol aspartyl isolosal vally. Re-anyl tyrosyl 3-anylosyl valylsolosal aspartyl isyl valylasparaginil 3-anyl glutamal aspartylistidyl glutaminil glycyl glutamalt. Reginal phenylalanil glutaminol tryptophyll phenylalanil isylalanil glycyl arginil glutamal isolosal tyrosyl glutamal cyryl aspartyl isylcus. Anyl 3-anylosyl 3-anyl valyl 3-anyl valyl prolil glycyl glutamal isyl valyl arginil isolosal prolil glutamal argi. Nilisilosal prolil glutamal prolil 3-anyl isilvalyl prolil glutamal isolosal prolilalanil isolosal prolilalani. Lysilalanil prolil isil glutamal alanil isil prolil isil glycyl prolil isolosal glycyl valyl prolil isil 3-anyl. Relalanil isolosal phenylalanil glutamal cystinolosal valyl cyryl prolil cyryl 3-anyl alanil isolosal 3-anyl tryptophyll meth. Re-anyl cystinyl valylosal arginilosal glycyl asparaginil isil glutamal isil 3-anyl cyryl 3-anyl alanil isilosal valyl gluta. Glycylosal methional arginil alanilosal 3-anyl isilosal asparaginil aspartyl aspartyl 3-anyl aspartyl alanil glycylt. Prolil isil glycyl 3-anyl alanil isolosal phenylalanil alanil cystinyl aspartyl isolosal alanil isylaspartyl 3-anyl prolilasparagin. Eurosyl prolilalanil isilosal 3-anylosyl glycyl glutamal arginil glutamal valyl glutamalosal isil prolil isolosal glutamalase. Mylisolosyl isylalanil glutamal glycyl isylarginil phenylalanilosal 3-anylosyl istidyl isilvalyl isilosal aspartyl glue. Asparaginil valylisolosal tryptophyll cyryl isil glycyl prolilaspartyl isolosal isil cyryl aspartyl isil phenylalanil aspa. Anyl valyl 3-anyl glycyl isolosal arginilosyl isil phenylalanil methionil cyryl prolilosal glutamal aspartyl glutaminol 3-anyl valyl. Laspartyl isolosal cyryl glutaminol isolosal isylalanil glutaminol valyl isil glutamalosal cyryl 3-anyl alanil glutaminolosal. Lysilaspartyl glycyl glutamal isolosal valyl prolil cyryl isil tyrosyl cyryl isolosal isylalanil aspartyl glycylosal argi. Henylalanil glutamal isolosal cyryl glutamal prolilaspartyl valylistidyl glycyl glutaminol tryptophyll isilosal isilgly. Utaminil alanil asparaginil alanil isil cyrilalanil alanil asparaginilosyl isilvalyl isil glutamalosal prolilosal isolosalp. 3-anyl isolistidyl cyryl methionil valylisolosal isil cyrilalanil alanil phenylalanil glutamal aspartyl glutamal alanil isil tyrosilm. Nilalanil 3-anyl valyl glutamalosal cyrylistidyl aspartyl asparaginil isolosal arginil valyl isil tryptophyll phenylalanil isylaspara. Isolaspartyl prolil tyrosyl phenylalanil 3-anyl glycyl isilosal glutaminol aspartyl tyrosyl 3-anyl glycyl valyl glutamal isylaspartyl. Methionil isolosal isylalanilosal isil cyryl aspartyl isolosal glycyl glutaminol tyrosyl 3-anyl cystinyl aspartyl. Isil glycyl glutamal alanilosal glutaminol 3-anyl prolilaspartyl cystinyl glutamal isolosal isil glutamal glycyl isili. Losal arginil prolilosal isylaspartyl valyl 3-anyl valyl 3-anyl alanil glycyl glutamal 3-anyl alanil 3-anyl phenylalanil aspartylk. Il lysyl 3-anyl istidyl alanil asparaginilosal phenylalanil valyl isil glutamal prolil valyl glutamal phenylalanil 3-anyl isilp. Arylysyl isil tyrosyl glutamal isolosal valylalanil aspartyl glycyl arginil valyl arginil isilosal valylisolosal istidyl aspartyl cyst. Utamalosal cyryl arginil glutamal asparaginil alanil isil valyl isil tryptophyll phenylalanil isylaspartyl glycyl alanil glutamal isolosi. Aryl glycyl methionylosol 3 and ilvalilosol glutamal valyl phenylalanil 3 and ilisylashparaginilosyl alanil. Nilasparaginyl listed ilosol glutamal aspartyl glycylase paraginyl tyrosylasparaginyl cystinyl arginylosol prolilcerulcer. Glutamal cyryl phenylalanil prolilvalyl glutaminyl tryptophylicylarginyl aspartyl 3 and ilosol glutamal cyryl glycylase per. Glutamal glutaminyl glutamal valyl phenylalanil asparaginyl cystinyl glutamal valyl 3 and glutamal glycylal. Elaspartyl glutaminyl alanil asparaginyl tyrosylasparaginyl valyl cerulosol 3 and elasparaginyl alarginyl glycyl glutamal asparagi. Utamal valyl phenylalanil aspartyl arginyl valylceryl tyrosylarginyl valyl tyrosylicyl methionil. Tamilistidilosol glutamal aspartyl 3 and ilvalyl 3 and glutamal phenylalanil aspartyl valyl phenylalanils. Nilglycyl valyl glutamal arginyl arginylosol phenylalanil valyl glutamal prolilvalilg. Onyl valyl glutaminil glycylase per dilysilistidil glutaminil methionil glutamal glycylisilosolistidilar. Valyl prolil tyrosylaspartyl tyrosyl prolilysilalanil glutamal tryptophyl phenylalanil glutamal asparaginyl glycylisilalanil glutamal glycyl phenylalanilisolosylase paraginylosylisyl valilisolosylase per valyl prolil glycyl prolilvalilarg. Glutamal phenylalanil 3 and ilvalyl 3 and glycylosyl glutaminylsyl glycyl valyl glutamal tyrosylosyl phenylalanil arginylva. Araginyl phenylalanil glycyl valyl cerulosol 3 and tryptophyl glutamal prolil glutamal tyrosylaspartyl glycylalani. Usyl glycyl valyl glycylisyl prolilcerylalanil 3 and ilprolil phenylalanil valylysyl valilalanil aspartyl prolilisolosol glutami. Arginyl cystinyl glutamal glycylisylaspartyl asparaginyl tryptophylisolosol arginyl cystinyl asparaginyl methionylisilosi. Nilysilaspartyl glycylosol glutamal valilisolosol valyl prolilasparaginyl prolilisolosol 3 and ilisolosylosol valyl prolilcerilt. Tamilarginyl cerlaspartylysyl glycylisolosol tyrosyl 3 and ilosilysilosol glutamal asparaginyl arginyl valilysyl 3 and ilisileu. Nilysyl 3 and tryptophyl 3 and ilisyl valylmethional aspartyl phenylalanil valyl 3 and elaspardylurisyl glutamal phenylalanil 3 and Eanilvalyl prolilaspartyl prolil glutamal asparaginyl valilysyl tryptophyl arginyl aspartyl 3 and alalanil asparaginyl cyryl. Hyl tyrosylalanil valylysyl 3 and ilosylase paraginyl arginyl glutaminil glycylalanil cyrylysyl prolilcerylarginyl proli. Valyl 3 and glycylisyl prolil glutamal prolilysilosolosol 3 and tryptophyl 3 and ilisylalanil aspartyl methionilisolosylosol. Prolilalanil phenylalanil aspartylisolosol 3 and elaspartyl valyl 3 and elasparaginyl glutamal cyryl cystinylosilosol. Raginyl phenylalanil 3 and ilisilosylosol prolilasparaginyl glutamal tyrosylisolosol phenylalanil arginylvaly. Glycyl cyryl prolisolosol 3 and glycyl tyrosyl tryptophyl glutamal arginylosylase prolilaspartyl 3 and elaspart. Lysyl cyryl 3 and glutamal prolilisolosylisolysilaspartyl prolilisolosilase prolil tript. Anyl glutaminylistidilosylosol glycylosol methionil glutamal glutamal tyrosyl cyryl phenylalanil arginylval. Lysylasparaginyl 3 and alalanil aspartylysilysyl tryptophyl 3 and ilvalyl glutamal cyryl prolilisol. Tyrosyl 3 and glutamal aspartyl valylosolalanil lysylaspartyl 3 and phenylalanil 3 and 3 and ilproli. Elarginylosyl glycyl 3 and elarginyl tryptophyl valilysilalanil glycylisyl 3 and alalanil glycyl prolilaspartyl cystinyl asparaginyl. Spartylalanil glycylarginylisolistidilisolosylalanilisolosolalanil tryptophylisyl prolil glutamal glycylg. Ilprolilaspartylysyl glutamal tyrosyl valilosylarginyl valilarginylalanil valylasparaginylalanilisolosol glycyl valylceryl glutamal. Silysyl glutamal valylysilalanil cyrilaspartylarginylosyl 3 and ilmethionilisylasparaginyl aspartylistidilisolosyl cyrilalanil. Cystinylisylsparta lisolosylisylalanisylsparti lisolosyl 3 anilesylcyril cystinylisylosyl 3 aniltryptophalg. Arginylvalilisylalanilyvalililasparaginalysilvalilglycylglycylglycylglutamyl tyrosylisilosyl Cyrillisylosolosyl methionylglycyl tyrosylisilosylisolosyl glutamylisylosolosylalanilysylglycylglutamyl glutamal trypto. Rutilalanil prolilysylvalilisolosolosylarginil 3 anilcyrilosyl glutamal valilisylarginil glycylaspartil glutamalysolosylalan. Glycyl glutamal valil glutaminil glutamal prolil phenylalanil valilosyl prolilosyl 3 anil glutaminal arginilosyls. Lanilvalil phenylalanil glutamal lisolosylarginilysyl 3 anilcyril valilosyl cystinylysyl tryptophyl glutamal prolil. 3 anilesylosyllisolosyl glutamal glycylysyl glutamal tyrosyllosyl phenylalanil arginil valilarginilalanil glutamal asparaginalarg. Tryptophylosyl glutamal glutamal valilasparaginil cyril 3 anilistidil tryptophil cyrilarginil valilasparaginilisyls. Prolilysyl 3 anilalanilistidil aspartil prolilysolosyl cyril prolil prolilysolosyl prolilarginil valil 3 anila. Anil valilisyl glutamalysolosylarginil glutamal glycylalanil aspartil tyrosylisilosylarginil valil cyrilalanil valilasparaginalalan. Anilosylarginilisosyl prolilalanil valil 3 anil glycylarginil prolil 3 anilesylvalil tryptophil 3 anilesi. Ilalanil aspartil valil valilosylaspartilacylyl prolil 3 anilasparaginil methionilcy. Utamil 3 anil glutamal arginil cyrilysyl cystinylasparti lisolosyl 3 anil glycylosylosyl glutamal glutaminil glutamal tyro. Prolilarginil cyrilasparaginil glycyl cyril prolilysolosyl glutaminil glycyl tyrosylisilosyl glutamal Anil valilasparaginil glutamalysolosyl glutamal cyril glutamal prolilosylasparaginil valilysolosyl glut. Elaspartilalanilosyl glutaminalisolosyl 3 anilesyl glutamal valil cyrilarginil cyril glutamalanilysyl 3 anil glutamal. Larginalasparaginilosolalanil valil 3 anilasparti lisolosylisylalanil glutamal cyril cystinyl tyrosylosyl 3 anil tryptophilas. Phenylalanil arginil valilarginilalanil valilasparaginilisyl tyrosyl glycylisolosyl cyrilaspartil glutamal cystinylysyl cyrilasparti. Losyl 3 anil glycyl tyrosyl tryptophilosyl glutamal glycyl cyril prolil tyrosyl tryptophil cyrilarginil va. Phenylalanil prolil cyril cystinyl prolil glutamal valilysylaspartilysyl 3 anilesyl cyril cyrilisolosyl. Usalisolosyl 3 anil cystinyl cystinyl valil prolilasparaginilosolisyl glutamalosyllarginilisyl tyrosyl. Osylarginilosolosyl prolilalanil valilosolosylisyl glycylarginil prolil 3 anil prolilysyl cyril tryptophil glutamal phenylalan. Tidal 3 anil glycylysyl tyrosyl cyrilisolosyl 3 anilalanilisylasparaginilisylalanil glycyl glutaminilisyl 3 anilalanilaspara. Toffel 3 anilesyl valilasparaginil prolilaspartil cystinyl glycyl cyril 3 anil phenylalanil valil prolilaspartilacy. Sil prolilaspartil prolilisolosylisyl glycylosolisyl 3 anilesylasparaginil 3 anilvalil. Partilysyl valil glutamal glutamal tyrosyl glutamal phenylalanil arginil valilisylalanil valilasparaginalalanil glic. Solosyl valilalanilisylisolosylisyl glycyl valil prolil phenylalanil prolil 3 anilosyl 3 anil tryptophil phenylalanilisylalani. Sil glutamal methional arginilosylasparaginil valilosyl glycylarginil prolil valil glycyl prolilisolosylisylphen. Re-anil tryptophil valilistidil valil cyril glutamal prolilysyl glutamal cystinyl 3 anil tyrosyl 3 anilysolosyl prolilysyloc. 3 anil valilasparaginil tryptophil glutamal prolil glutamal tyrosylaspartil glycyl cyril prolilvalil 3 anil glycyl tyrosi. Tyrosyl glutaminal phenylalanil arginil valil tyrosylalanilysolosylasparaginalalanil glycyl valil glycyl prolilalanil cyrilosyl. Yotamil glutamyl tryptophyl glutamyl lysyl glycyl esyl aspartyl lysyl glutamyl valylargenyl glycyl 3 and ilysylosyl valyl valyl 3 and gly. Oli laspartylysyl glutaminyl aspartyl lanyl cyryl valylargenyl aspartyl argenylysylosyl valyl valylistity lanyl glycyl glycyl va. Il valyl tyrosyl cyrylosylosyl alanyl isyl asparaginyl glutamyl alanyl glycyl glutamyl argenyl esyl isyl 3 and ilysylosyl val. Osyl 3 and asparaginyl tyrosyl valylysylosyl glutamyl isyl argenyl glutamyl cyryl aspartyl argenyl alanyl tryptophyl 3 and prol. Onyl valyl prolyl glutamyl argenyl prolyl glutamyl aspartylysyl glutamyl valylysyl glutamyl valyl 3 and ilysyl asparaginyl 3 and valylt. Nilosylosyl cyryl argenyl isyl tyrosyl 3 and valylysyl glycylosyl isyl glutamyl glycyl aspartyl 3 and tyrosyl glutamyl tyrosyla. Silcyryl glycyl esyl prolyl valyl cyryl tryptophyl phenylalanyl isyl aspartyl glutamyl alanyl aspartyl valylosyl glutamyl. Silglycyl phenylalanyl cystinyl glutaminyl valyl asparaginyl valyl aspartylistidyl prolyl glycyl valyl glycyl prolyl valy. Cyrylysylosylosyl glutamyl glycyl esyl aspartyl tyrosylosylosyl phenylalanyl argenylysylosylistidyl alanyl glutamyl asparaginyl. Il 3 and tryptophyl asparaginyl esyl prolylistidyl aspartyl glycyl esyl prolylysylosyl 3 and asparaginyl tyrosylosylosyl. Prolyl cyrylysyl prolyl valyl phenylalanyl isyl aspartyl prolylysylosyl alanyl isyl prolyl cyryl prolyl valyl asparagin. Ardyl glutamyl tryptophyl argenyl alanyl asparaginyl istidyl 3 and prolyl glutamyl cyryl cystinyl prolyl glutamyl 3 and Mil glutaminyl istidyl isyl valyl glycyl aspartyl 3 and ilosyl argenylosyl cyryl alanyl isyl glycyl valyl. Glycylisylosyl tyrosyl cyrylosyl 3 and valyl glutamyl asparaginyl prolyl alanyl glycyl cyrylysyl 3 and valyl cyryl valylysyl valyl. Aryl alanyl 3 and cyrylysyl isyl cyrylistidyl phenylalanyl isyl istidylosyl asparaginyl glutamyl glycyl asparaginyl glu. Losylistidyl valyl aspartyl isyl 3 and glutamyl valyl cyrylosyl valyl tryptophyl asparaginyl esyl prolyl aspar. Amyl asparaginylosyl valyl glycylosyl prolyl aspartyl 3 and 3 and ilysylosyl prolylysylosyl glutamyl cystinyl glu. Il tryptophyl 3 and 3 and aspartyl glycyl cyryl glutamyl isyl 3 and aspartyl glutamyl istidyl tyrosyl 3 and valyl glutam. Olosylosyl aspartyl valyl 3 and prolyl glutamyl istidyl methionil 3 and ilysylosyl cyryl tryptophyl glutaminyl prolyl isyl asp. Silglycyl cystinyl glutamyl tyrosyl valyl phenylalanyl argenyl alanyl glutamyl asparaginyl esylosylosyl glycyl valyl glycyl peer. Glutamyl valyl 3 and glycyl esyl tryptophyl valyl argenyl asparaginyl isyl 3 and prolylysylosyl alanyl aspartylysyl isylf. Nil prolylysylosyl isyl prolyl glycyl prolylysylosyl asparaginyl prolylysylosyl isyl aspartyl isyl cyryl argenyl glutami. Usyl glutamyl glycyl asparaginyl glutamyl tyrosyl argenyl phenylalanyl argenylysylosyl isyl alanyl asparaginylysylosyl valyl glycy. Lysylosyl argenylysylosyl alanyl argenyl valylysyl glycyl argenyl prolyl glutamyl aspartylysylosyl 3 and tryptophyl 3. Alilosyl aspartyl argenyl prolyl cystinyl glutaminyl asparaginylosyl isyl valyl 3 and asparaginyl valyl 3 and ilysylg. Osyl valyl alanyl cyryl aspartyl valyl 3 and ilysyl argenylosyl isyl alanyl asparaginylosyl alanyl asparaginyl asparagi. Il lysyl tryptophyl argenyl prolyl aspartyl tyrosyl aspartyl glycyl cyryl prolyl asparaginylosyl cyryl tyrosylistidyl valylgl. Valyl glutaminyl 3 and ilysyl asparaginyl glutamyl glycyl glutamyl cyryl aspartyl tryptophyl valylysyl 3 and glutamyl. In valylysylosyl aspartyl 3 and argenyl alanyl aspartyl cyrylysyl phenylalanyl cyrylosyl 3 and ilysyl alanyl argin. Il valyl cyryl aspartyl argenyl cystinyl 3 and valyl cystinyl tryptophyl aspartyl prolyl glutamyl aspartyl glycyl glic. Silosylosyl glycyl 3 and glycyl prolyl 3 and glutamyl cyrylysyl prolyl valylysylosyl alanyl isyl 3 and ilysyl tyrosyl aspart. Lysyl glutamal lysylistatylceryl 3 and alarginil tryptophyllvilyl prolyl valilasparaginil esylcerylalanilisolosol prolyl glutamal. Lvalyl valilaspardyl 3 and il 3 and ilysylistatylcerylasolosol 3 and ilosyl glycyl tryptophyll glycyl esyl prolyl valyl tyrosylaspart. Ilalanil 3 and ilvalyl 3 and ilcerylosylaspardyl glutamal asparaginil glutaminil glutamal tyrosyl glutamal phenylalanil arginil valyl si. Arginil glycyl arginil prolylalanil prolylysylvalyl 3 and il tryptophyll arginil esylvalyl glycyl isolosylasparty lasparaginil valyl valyl. Valyl phenylalanil valilasparaginil valyl arginil valylosylaspardyl 3 and il prolyl glycyl prolyl valylcerylaspardyl isylvalylcer. Nilosyl valyl prolyl glycyl asparaginil glutamal tyrosyl phenylalanil arginil valyl 3 and alalanil valilasparaginil glutamal tyrosi. Tophilosyl prolylosyl arginil aspardyl glycylalanil isylisolosylaspardyl glycyl tyrosylisolosylisolosyl ceryl tyrosi. Isyl glutamal glutaminylosylosol prolyl methionil prolyl glutamal glutaminylosylosol 3 and ilisolosyli. Irylceryl cerylosolosylosylosylosylosylisilaspartyl valyl 3 and alarginil esylaspartyl ceryl glycyl tyrosyl cerylok. Ilisolosol 3 and alasparaginil tyrosylisolosol valyl glutamal isylcystinolaspartyl valyl ceryl arginil glycylaspartyl tryptophyll valyl. 3 and ilceryl prolylysyl methionil valylalanil glutaminil phenylalanil prolyl phenylalanil glycyl valyl prolyl ceryl glutamal prolylysilas. Eanyl glutamal tyrosyl prolyl cystinolanil glycylosyl valyl glutamal glycylosyl glutamal tyrosyl ceryl phenylalanil arginilisolosalt. Ilisolosyl tryptophyllalanil arginil prolylysylistid alaspartyl glycyl ceryl esylisolosylisolosyl glycyl tyrosyl phenylalanilv. Lil prolylceryl glutamal aspartyl prolyl valyl 3 and ilisolosylosylalanil glutamal asparaginil valyl prolylarginiliso. Bacillarisylisyl prolylalanil glutamal glycylisolosylisyl methionil glutaminil arginil asparaginilosyl cystinosyl 3. Ceryl tryptophyll glutamal prolylosyl glutamal aspartyl glycyl ceryl glutamal isolosyl 3 and alasparaginil tyrosylisolosyl. Bosyl cystinolanil glutamal asparaginil esyl tyrosyl glycyl valyl glycylaspartyl prolyl valyl phenylalanil 3 and glutamal prolylalanili. Paraginil tryptophyll 3 and ilysyl valylasparaginil arginil esyl prolylisolosylisolosyl glutamal arginil 3 and ilosylisylalanil 3. Olylalanil prolylalanil phenylalanil prolylysyl valyl tyrosylaspartyl 3 and il 3 and ilarginil ceryl valyl cerylosyl ceryl 3. Tyrosyl glutaminil phenylalanil arginil valyl tyrosylalanil valylasparaginil isylisolosyl glycyl tyrosyl cerylaspartyl prolyl cerylaspart. Alilysyl glycyl arginil prolylysylisolosyl 3 and il tryptophyll cerylysyl prolylasparaginil valylasparaginillosyl argini. Prolyl glycyl prolylisolosylasparaginil valyl 3 and il valylysyl glutamal cerylysylaspartyl cerylalanil tyrosyl valyl. Ceryl phenylalanil arginil valyl prolylasparaginillosyl glutamal glycyl esyl ceryl tyrosyl phenylalanil arginil valyl. Sylglycyl tyrosyl valylaspartyl phenylalanilosyl 3 and glutamal asparaginil esyl tryptophyll glutaminil arginil valylmit. Lvalyl valylalanil arginil laspartyl valylalanil prolylaspartylysyl glycylosyl prolylaspartylysyl. Inil glutaminil isyl cerylaspartylalanil glycyl esyl tyrosyl 3 and ilisolosyl 3 and ilosylisylasparaginil valylalanil glycyl 3 and Tylaspartyl glycyl ceryl glutamal 3 and alasparaginil tyrosylisolosyl glutamal isylarginil aspartyl ceryl valylasp. Lyl phenylalanil aspartyl valyl prolylaspartylalanil prolylasparaginilisolosol valylaspartyl valylarginilistidilis. Null prolylisolosyl arginil methionil arginil aspartyl phenylalanil isylvalyl 3 and glycylosyl 3 and glutamal glutamal. Oxylaspartyl glycylistidil esylosyl 3 and glycyl tyrosylisolosyl valyl glutamal isylarginil aspartylysyl prolylcerylisi. Glycylalanilisolosol cerylalanil prolyl glutamal ceryl 3 and glutamal 3 and ilisolosylisolosyl cystinolysylaspartyl glutami. aminolysolosyl 3 anilsyryl 3 anilprolel 3 anilsyrylsyryl methionyluracil 3 anilysalosylysyl tyrosylalanyl 3 anilarginily. Lylsyrylalanyl glutamolysylalanyl 3 anilosyl 3 aniltryptophyl 3 anilprolel prolelysyl glutamal aspartyl glycylcyryl pro. Glutamal prolel valyl glutaminylsyryl glutamal prolel valylysyl methionyl valyl aspartyl arginyl phenylalanil glycyl prolel glycyl pro. Lysyl arginyl tryptophyl valyl arginyl alanylysyl 3 anilprolil valylsyryl aspartylysyl arginyl cystinyl Arylalanyl alanyl tryptophyl glycylysyl prolilystidyl tyrosylaspartyl glycylosyl glutamolysyl 3 anilglycylt. Tyrosylasparaginyl phenylalanil arginylysyl cyrylalanylysyl asparaginyl aspartylalanyl glycyl valyl glycyl glutamal prolylalany. Elasparaginylysyl asparaginylysyl arginyl alanyl asparaginylysyl glutamal asparaginyl 3 anil glutamal seri. Losyl aspartyl 3 anil prolel valylosyl asparaginylysyl arginyl prolel 3 anil aspartylysyl 3 anil esylaspartyl. Miltyrosyl phenylalanil arginyl valyl methionylalanil glutamal asparaginyl glutamal tyrosyl glycyl glutamal pro. Isylglycylcyrylysyl 3 anil glycyl tyrosyl valylysyl glutamal alanil glutaminal arginylysyl glycylcyryl aspartyl glutamin. Sulprolel glutamolysyl aspartylysyl arginyl glycylysyl tyrosyl glutaminelysyl valylysyl alanyl glycylasp. Alanyl 3 anilsyryl 3 anilysyl asparaginyl glutamal cystinyl valyl arginylsyryl aspartylsyryl glycylp. Laspartyl glycyl valyl prolilysyl cyryl asparaginyl valyl glutamal methionyl arginyl glutaminal 3 anil aspartylsyr. Valyl glycyl 3 anilsyrylalanyl tryptophylysyl valylalanyl asparaginyl tyrosyl phenylalanil valy. Valyl glycyl asparaginylysyl phenylalanil glycylysyl 3 anil aspartyl glycylysyl alanyl tyrosyl glutami. Larginylistidyl 3 anilvalyl 3 anilosylysyl tryptophylalanyl glutamal tyrosyl 3 anil glycyl phenylalanil. Glycylalanylysyl prolylsyryl glutamal prolylsyryl aspartylalanylysyl 3 anil cystinyl arginyl aspartyl. Tophylcyrylysylaspartyl glycylysyl glutamal glycyl 3 anilalanylysyl glutamolysyl alanyla. Tamyl valyl 3 anilsyryl glutamolysyl cystinyl valylosyl tryptophyl phenylalanil prolylysyl aspartyl glycylglic. Nil glutamal tyrosylysyl phenylalanil arginyl valyl methionylalanil valylasparaginylysyl tyrosyl glycyl glutamal prolyl. Inilaspartylysylalanil glycyl glutaminal arginyl tryptophylysyl cystinyl asparaginylysyl 3 anilosyl 3 anilaspar. Cystianylaspartyl 3 anilvalyl phenylalanil prolyl glycyl asparaginyl prolylarginyl valylosyl aspartyl 3 ani. Lysylosyl 3 anil glutamal asparaginyl glutamal tyrosylysyl arginylysyl tyrosylalanil methionyl asparaginils. Inyl 3 anilosyl arginylysyl phenylalanil valyl prolylysyl glycyl arginyl prolylaspartyl glutamal valylysyl triptop. Usylaspartyl 3 anil glycyl glutaminal aspartylysyl valylysyl glutamal valyl 3 anilysyl 3 anilsyrylvaly. Lysyl 3 anilsyryl tryptophylysyl valylaspartyl glutaminal glutamal glycyl cystinyl tyrosyl phenylalanil. Anilysyl glycyl tyrosylysyl valyl glutamal methionyl glutaminal 3 anilysyl glycylcyryl aspartylysyl tryptophylalanylt. Utaminelysyl cyrylvalyl valylysyl alanylysylaspartylysyl valylysyl prolylalanil phenylalanil. Relysylysyl 3 anilysylaspartylalanyl cystinyl arginyl glutamal aspartyl valyl glycylistidyl tyrosyl valylysyl. Aryl tryptophyl glycyl prolylysyl tyrosylaspartyl glycylcyryl asparaginyl tyrosylysyl valylg. Lutamyl prolyl 3 anilvalylanil glutaminal tyrosyl prolyl phenylalanil valyl glycyl 3 anil valyl. Tophel valylysyl asparaginylysyl 3 anil prolyl glutaminal 3 anilysyl phenylalanil 3 anil gly. Tamenyl tryptophylicyl prolyl 3-anyl tyrosylaspartyl glycyl glycyl ceralicylisolosyl 3-anyl glycyl tyrosylisolosyl valyl gluta. Arginyl valilosolosyl alanyl arginyl asparaginyl alanyl alanyl glycyl valyl phenylalanil cyryl glutamyl prolyl cyryl glutamyl cyryl 3-anyl gl. Inyl glutamylosyl cyryl asparaginyl 3-anyl alanyl arginylosyl glutamylisolosyl icyl cyryl 3-anyl aspartyl phenylalanil alanyl 3-o. Lutamyl glycyl prolyl valilosolosyl cyryl glycyl valyl 3-anyl alanyl glutamyl icyl cystinyl 3-anyl osyl alanyl tryptophylicyl pair. Osyl methional alanyl valyl asparaginyl ecyl tyrosyl glycyl valyl glycyl glutamyl prolyl osyl glutamyl cyryl glutamyl prolyl valyl Syl tyrosyl valylosyl glutamyl icyl arginyl aspartyl icyl glutamyl glycylysolosyl arginyl tryptophyl 3-anyl arginyl cystinyl istidyl. Paraginyl asparaginyl prolyl icyl valilosolosyl aspartylisolosyl 3-anyl arginyl cyryl valyl phenylalanil osyl cyryl tryptophyls. 3-anyl asparaginilisolosyl glutamyl valyl glutamyl icyl osyl glutamyl icyl istidyl glutamyl tyrosylasparaginyl phenylalanila. Lil prolylosolosyl icyl glycyl arginyl prolyl 3-anyl prolyl glutamyl valyl icyl tryptophyl glycylycyl valyl aspartyl glycyl glutamylysol. Nilycyl cyrilalanil phenylalanil valyl 3-anyl valyl arginyl valylosyl aspartyl 3-anyl prolyl prolyl valyl asparaginylosi. Cylaspartyl glutaminylosyl glutaminyl glutamyl glycyl cystinyl cyryl tyrosyl phenylalanil arginyl valyl 3-anyl alanyl glutamylase. Cyryl tryptophyl 3-anyl ecyl prolyl glutamylistidyl aspartyl glycyl cyrilisylysolosyl glutaminyl tyrosylisolosyl Olosyl valylalanil icyl aspartylysyl valilosolosyl glutamyl prolyl aspartyl valyl icyl prolylalanil phenylalanil cyryl tyrosyl Lyl 3-anyl aspartyl cyrilosyl aspartylysyl 3-anyl osyl cyrilosolosyl icyl glutamyl 3-anyl istidyl ecyl aspartyl aspar. Anyl glycyl cystinyl glutaminylisolosyl 3-anyl asparaginyl tyrosylisolosyl valyl glutaminyl icyl arginyl aspartyl 3-anyl 3-o. Glycyl glutaminyl cyryl phenylalanil alanyl osyl glutamyl cyryl aspartyl prolylosolosyl valylalanil glutaminyl tyrosyl prolyl tyrosylicyl. Inylycyl 3-anylisolosyl istidyl aspartyl 3-anyl glutaminyl phenylalanil icyl glutaminyl asparaginyl osyl glutamyl. Olyl glutamyl prolylosolosyl methionil valylycyl arginyl asparaginyl glutamylisolosyl 3-anyl osyl glutaminyl tryptophyl 3-anyl ec. Larginyl valilosolosyl alanyl icyl asparaginyl alanyl glycyl alanylisolosyl cyrilycyl prolyl cyryl aspartyl cyryl 3-anyl glycyl pair. Idyl glycylycyl prolylosyl prolyl 3-anylisolosyl glutamyl tryptophylosyl arginyl glycyl aspartyl icyl glutamylisolosyl glutamyl. Lyl prolyl glutamyl glycyl prolyl valyl glutaminyl valyl 3-anyl glycyl valyl 3-anyl cyryl glutamyl icyl cystinyl cyrilosyl 3-anyl trypt. 3-anyl ecylosyl glutamyl glycyl asparaginyl glutamyl tyrosyl valyl phenylalanil arginylosolosyl methionil alanyl valyl asparagin. Yl glycyl tyrosylisolosyl valyl glutamyl icyl arginyl aspartyl arginyl cyryl glycylysolosyl arginyl tryptophylisolosyl icyl cystinyl asp. Null 3-anyl valyl tyrosylicylalanil cystinyl aspartyl prolyl valyl phenylalanil icyl prolyl prolyl 3-anyl asparagin. Alyl 3-anyl arginyl phenylalanil glutamylisolosyl cyrilisolosyl 3-anyl glutamylistidyl glutaminyl glutamyl tyrosylisolosyl. Valyl arginyl alanyl glycyl cyrilalanil arginylisolosyl istidylisolosyl prolyl phenylalanil icyl glycyl arginyl prolyl methio. Yl lycyl cyrilalanil phenylalanil valyl 3-anyl valylycyl valylosyl aspartyl 3-anyl prolyl glutaminyl asparaginyl. Urocylalanil asparaginyl valyl cyrilycyl cystinyl cyrilycyl 3-anyl cyryl phenylalanil icyl valyl glutamyl asparaginyl osyl 3-o. Lycyl prolyl glutamylistidyl aspartyl glycyl cyryl arginyl valylosyl glycyl tyrosyl valyl glutamyl methionil glutaminyl prolyl. Icyl cyryl aspartyl prolyl arginyl valylosyl glycyl valylosolosyl alanyl icyl aspartylysyl 3-anylisolosyl glutamin. Anylalanyl 3-anyl cyryl 3-anyl valylosyl istidylisolosyl icyl glutamyl glycyl asparaginyl ecyl aspartyl phenylalanil glycy. Phenylalanil valylosolosyl cyryl tryptophyl glutamyl prolylalanil tyrosyl 3-anyl glycyl cystinyl glutaminylisol. Isilsarilalanil prolilosylase pertilsarilisilalanil valilisolosal valil glutaminal tyrosil prolilphenilalanil isil glutamil prolilgly. Minilisyl glutamalisilasparaginal sarilosolosylosyl tryptophil valilisolosylase paraginilisyl 3-anil prolilisolosal glutamin. Lisolosyl 3-anilarginal asparaginal valil 3-anilosylisyl tryptophilisylisyl prolilalanil tyrosylaspartyl glycylgly. Amilaspartyl glutaminalarginil tyrosyl glutamal phenylalanil valilisolosalalanil asparaginalalanil glycylase paragi. Alilvalil tryptophil sarilisilaspartyl glycylysyl glutamal 3-anilalanil methional glutamalysol. Valilisyl valilosylase pertilarginil prolil glycyl saril prolil glutamal valil 3-anyl glycyl valil 3-anilalani. Glycylase paraginil glutamal tyrosilysalosyl phenylalanil valil methionalalanil valilasparaginilisyl tyrosyl glycylysolosyl gly. Valilaspartyl glycyl 3-anyl glutamalysolosyl glutamal glycyl tyrosilysalosylosyl glutamalisylarginal aspartylysi. Tynalaspartylalanilosyl tyrosyl prolil prolilsaryl asparaginil prolilysyl valil 3-anylaspartyl 3-anyl sarylarg. Glycylosyl glutaminal phenylalanil 3-anyl valil 3-anylisylosylysyl glutamal asparaginil 3-anyl glutamal. Phenylalanil valil 3-anylisylosylysyl glycylarginil prolil glutamal valilisyl tryptophil glutamal glutam. Tamalasparaginil saryl glycyl 3-anilalanil phenylalanil valilasparaginil valilosylase pertilsarylp. Cysteinyl 3-anilysyl 3-anyl phenylalanil glutamal asparaginilosal glutamal glycyl cysteinols. 3-anylarginil asparaginil 3-anilalanil 3-anilysylosylysyl tryptophil glutamal saryl aspartyl glycylsar. Rolilarginil glutaminilosal glycyl valil prolil valilisolosalalanil aspartylisolosyl glutamalysolosylysyl prolil saryl valil. Inl 3-anilosylysyl glutamal 3-anylarginil valilasparaginal valil sarylysyl 3-anyl valil 3-anyl sarylosyl. Saryl tryptophil asparaginil prolil glutamal tyrosylaspartyl glycyl cysteinyl glutaminilysolosyl saryl asparaginil tyrosyli. Valil cysteinylalanil glutamal asparaginil tyrosyl glycylysyl saryl tyrosyl glutamal sarylalanil valilalanil. Anilasparaginilisylosylosylalanil aspartyl 3-anyl glutaminal valilysyl valilsaryl glycylosylase pertyl glutamal gly. Milvalil 3-anyl asparaginilisylosyl 3-anylarginilisyl saryl valilsarylosylysyl tryptophil sarylysyl prolilystidyl tyrosylaspa. Nilalanil aspartyl saryl valilsaryl glutamal saryl 3-anyl glycyl prolilysoloc. Losyl prolil valilisolosal saryl tryptophylalanil glycylysolosyl glutamalarginil. Olalosyl glutamalysolosyl asparaginil glycylosal 3-anilalanil glutamilysyl cysteinyl saryl tryptophil glycylarginil pair. Lil 3-anilysylosylysyl glycylasparaginil glutamal tyrosilysolosyl phenylalanil valil 3-anyl glycyl valilasparagini. Elisolosyl glutamal glutamilysylasparaginal sarylosylarginil tryptophil valilasparaginalisyl. Usilarginilalanil glutamal aspartyl prolil valil phenylalanilosyl prolil sarylysyl prolilysylisolosyl valilaspart. 3-anyl glycylalanil glutamal tyrosyl valil phenylalanil valilisyl saryl valilasparaginalisyl valil glycylalanil saryl. Alanil 3-anyl methional 3-anyl valil prolil phenylalanil prolil valil prolilasparaginil valilosyl tryptophil sary. Usilasparatyl 3-anyl prolil 3-anyl asparaginilisylosyl 3-anyl valil glutaminal aspartyl valil 3-anylysyl gluta. Nilasparaginil saryl tyrosylysyl valil 3-anyl asparaginilisyl glutamal glycylalanilisolosyl tyrosyl. Arylarginilisyl valilistidyl tyrosyl valil glutamalanilosyl glutaminalisyl tryptophil va. Glutamalosylosylosal prolil valilosylysolosylysyl glutamal prolil glutamalysolosyl asparty. Paraginylosol 3 anilisalosyl asparaginylosol glutamyl ceryl 3 anilalanil aspartylalanil glycolarginyl tyrosyl glutamy. Vallyl 3 anilosyl tryptophyl glutamyl prolyl tyrosyl aspartyl glycyl ceryl glutaminyl vallyl 3 anilasparaginylt. Olosyl aspartyl cerylalanil cystinyl vallyl 3 anil valylysilosyl prolyl tyrosyl 3 anil prolyl glycyl prolyl ceryl 3o. Isolosylosol tryptophyl glutaminyl isolylanil asparaginyl isolosol valylosolosyl arginyl 3 anilystidyl phenylalanil. Vallyl cerylosol ceryl tryptophyl glutaminyl prolylalanil phenylalanil aspartyl glycyl cerylisilosol 3 anyl glycy. Glutaminyl tyrosyl glutamyl phenylalanil arginyl valyl phenylalanil alanil arginyl asparaginyl alanil vallyl glycyl cerylosolosol ceryl asparag. Tylaspartylysyl glutamylosyl glutaminyl 3 anyl asparaginyl alanilosyl vallyl cystinyl vallyl glutamyl asparaginyl 3 anylis. Tylysyl prolyl glycyl prolylysolyl glutamyl phenylalanil 3 anilvalyl 3 anilalanil glutamyl isyliso. Lutamyl tyrosylisylosyl phenylalanil arginyl valyl arginyl alanil vallyl asparaginyl isyl tyrosyl glycylisolosyl glutamyl prolyloc. Laspartyl glycyl ceryl aspartylisolosyl ceryl glycyl tyrosyl phenylalanilosyl glutamyl isylarginyl aspartylysyl cerylosi. Spartyl prolylisolosyl aspartyl prolyl glycyl prolylalanil isylisolosyl arginylisolosyl alanil aspartyl ceryl 3 anilisi. Glycyl glutamyl vallyl arginyl 3 anyl glutamyl tyrosyl valyl ceryl asparaginylosyl isyl prolyl glycyl vallyl asparaginyl tyros. Valylosylisolosyl prolyl phenylalanil isyl glycyl arginyl prolyl 3 anilvalyl 3 anyl tryptophyl arginyl isyl aspartyl. Osyl glutamyl asparaginyl glycyl glutamyl prolyl isyl ceryl 3 anilvalyl valylysyl valylosyl aspartyl 3 anyl pro. Ceryl 3 anyl phenylalanil isylosylisosyl aspartylysyl ceryl glutamyl isyl 3 anyl prolyl phenylalanil phenyl. Anilysyl 3 anyl ceryl valylisolosyl ceryl tryptophyl 3 anilysyl prolyl aspartyl phenylalanil aspartyl glycyl ceryl valyl. Vallyl 3 anilysolosyl glycyl prolylisolosyl 3 anyl valylysyl glutamylosylisosyl 3 anyl prolyl glutamyl vallyl aspa. Silysyl glutamyl ceryl glutamyl phenylalanil vallyl arginyl phenylalanil cerylysyl 3 anyl glutamyl asparaginyl isylisolosyl 3 anyl. Silosyl ceryl tryptophyl aspartyl vallyl prolyl glutamyl aspartyl asparaginyl glycyl glutamylisolosyl 3 anyl cystinyl tyros. Lanyl arginyl valyl arginyl alanil glutamyl asparaginyl arginyl tyrosyl glycyl vallyl ceryl glutaminyl prolylosyl vallyl ceryl cerylosolosylis. Losylosyl tryptophyl glutaminyl isyl valyl asparaginyl 3 anyl ceryl prolylisolosyl ceryl glycyl arginyl glutamyl tyrosyl arginyl alanil. Glycyl 3 anyl prolyl aspartyl tyrosylisolosyl aspartyl vallyl 3 anyl arginyl glutamyl 3 anilisolosyl 3 anilosyl isyl tryptophyl. Elarginylisolosyl alanil arginyl asparaginyl alanil vallyl glycyl 3 anilisolosyl ceryl prolyl ceryl glutaminyl ceryl. Vallyl glutaminyl glycyl arginyl prolyl arginyl valyl 3 anyl tryptophyl phenylalanil isyl aspartyl glycyl vallyl glutamylisolosi. Lysyl valyl glycyl prolylisolosyl arginyl phenylalanil 3 anyl asparaginylisolosyl 3 anyl glycyl glutamyl isyl methionil 3. Glutamyl alanil glutaminyl ceryl tyrosyl 3 anyl alanilisolosyl isylosylisosyl asparaginyl glutamyl tyrosyl glu. Prolyl glutamyl ceryl aspartyl glycyl ceryl glutamylisolosyl glutaminyl tyrosylisosyl glutamyl arginyl gl. Tamyl asparaginyl alanil glycyl vallyl glycyl prolylalanil ceryl glycylisolosyl ceryl arginylosylisosyl isyl cystinyl arginyl gl. Lysyl valyl asparaginyl alanil glutamyl alanil cystinyl vallyl isyl 3 anyl arginyl tyrosyl 3 anyl valyl 3 anyl aspartylysyl glutaminyl. Lysylosyl aspartylalanil asparaginyl phenylalanil isyl glutaminyl 3 anilystidyl vallyl arginyl alanil glycyl alanil cerylosolosyl. Syl 3 anilosyl 3 anilvalyl glutamyl asparaginyl ceryl glycyl cerylysyl cerylosolosyl 3 anyl phenylalanil 3 anilvaly. Tyrosyl valyl glutamyl isylarginyl glutamyl alanil cerylarginyl arginyl ceryl tryptophyl glutaminyl valylosolosyl ceryl glutamyl isy. Ilvalil aspartyl 3 and ilcerylcyrylcerylcerolalanil valilosolalanil tryptophyllosilicyl laspartylisted elaspartyl glyci. Il 3 anyl glutamyl tyrosyl glutamyl phenylalanil arginil valilicylalanil asparaginil asparty lalanil glycyl tyrosylceryl glutamyl pro. Riptophyllosilyl glutamyl methional arginilosylycyl glutamyl 3 and elasparty larginil valilcerylosolosyl 3 and il 3 on. Allylisolosyl glycyl arginil prolyl valil 3 anyl glycyl prolylisolosyl glutamyl valilcerylceryl valilcerylalanil glutamyls. Lutamyl tyrosylceryl phenylalanil arginil valilcerylceryl glutamyl asparaginil arginil phenylalanil glycyl valilcerylycyl prolylosyl glu. Stylolaspartyl glycyl cerylycylisolosyl glycyl tyrosyl tryptophyll valil glutamyl glutamyl arginil asparaginilt. Lasparaginil prolyl valil aspartylalanil prolyl glycyl arginil prolyl glutamyl valil 3 and elaspartyl valil 3 and elarginil ceryl 3 and ilval. Usyl valilceryl asparty lasparaginil phenylalanil 3 and ilvalil 3 and elalanilosyl ceryl glutamyl glycyl aspartyl 3 and ilt. Aspartylalanil valil glycylycyl prolyl glutamyl prolylisylosolosyl tryptophyll 3 and ilysyl glycyl aspartylysyl. Enolceryl glycyl 3 and ilycylalanil valilceryl valilmethional valilysyl valilosyl aspartylceryl prolyl cysteinyl glycyli. Rol tyrosyl valil 3 and elarginilosylisolosyl asparaginil glutamyl tyrosylisolosyl phenylalanil arginil valilar. Elistid ilysolosyl glutaminal tryptophyll 3 and ilysyl prolyl glutamyl ceryl aspartyl glycyl asparaginil glutami. Aginilceryl glutamyl arginil ceryl asparaginil phenylalanilisolosyl ceryl cysteinyl arginil glutamyl prolyl tyros. Glutaminil glutamolysylaspartyl 3 and elaspartyl glutaminal tryptophyll tyrosylarginil valilistidil 3 and elasparaginil 3 and e. Osylalanil laspartylysyl 3 and ilvalil 3 and ilisolosylarginilalanil glycylalanil cerylosylarginilosyl methio. Asparaginil arginil tyrosylaspartylalanil glycylycyl tyrosyl 3 and ilisolosyl glutamolalanil asparaginil glutaminylceryl glyci. Alanil methional arginilalanil phenylalanilysyl 3 and ilvalil 3 and il 3 and ilysyl cysteinyl cerylycyl 3 and ilosyl tyrosylarginili. Osyl valil prolylalanilysylosyl glutamyl valilaspartyl valil 3 and ilysyl ceryl 3 and ilvalil 3 and ilosylalanil tryptophyll glu. Reginilalanil glutaminal asparaginil glutamylysyl glycyl valilceryl glutamyl prolylarginil glutamyl 3 and ilvalil 3 and elalanil valil 3. Olel prolylalanil ceryl tryptophyll phenylalanil glycyl cerylycylosylarginil glutamyl ceryl arginilval. Ilisolosyl aspartyl glutamolisolosyl 3 and ilcerylisolosyl 3 and ilisolosyl ceryl tryptophyll glutamyl. Onylarginilosyl 3 and glutamyl glycyl asparaginil glutamyl tyrosyl phenylalanil arginil valilalalanil 3 and elasparaginilor. Aminyl valil 3 and glycyl tyrosylisolosyl valil glutamyl arginilysyl glutamyl valilarginilalanil asparty larginil tryptophyll valilargin. Olylcerylysyl prolylisolosyl valilalanil methional aspartyl prolylisolosylalanil prolyl glycylysyl glutaminal asparagini. Utamyl tyrosyl 3 and ilosyl 3 and ilistid ilosyl prolyl glutaminil glycylalanil glutamyl tyrosylarginil phenylalanil arginil valilok. Henylalanil valilarginil glutaminil glycyl valilosolosyl arginilosyl 3 and ilisolosyl prolylisolosylysyl glycylysyl prolyop. Lanil valil tyrosylisolosylysyl valilarginil valilosolosyl glycyl ceryl prolylasparaginil ceryl prolyl glycyl gluta. Hyl tyrosyl 3 and ilisolosyl aspartyl cerylarginil valilarginil glycyl 3 and ilcerylosyl valilysyl glycylosylysyl glutamyl asp. Riptophyll cerylarginil prolylysylaspartyl glycyl cerylarginil valil 3 and glycyl tyrosylisolosyl glutamyl argin. Lisolosylalanil glutaminal asparaginil aspartyl valil glycylosyl ceryl glutamyl 3 and ilceryl prolylalanil ceryl glutamyl valilval. Iltryptophyllosilysyl ceryl asparaginilisyl glutamyl arginilisolosylysylaspartylysyl glutaminal phenylalanil 3 and ilisolosyl gly. Ludamilalanil prolyl arginilysyl glutamyl methional isylaspartyl valil 3 and il 3 and ilisolosyl glycyl glutamalani. Glycyl valyl tyrosyl 3 and cysteine lisolosylalanil 3 and asparagine glutamyl valyl glycyl glutamyl valyl glutamyl 3 and cyril. Alanyl methionil 3 and tryptophyl phenylalanil listidyl glycyl glutaminol isolysyl glutaminol asparaginil cyril glutamyl asparag. Lysyl prolyl 3 and glycyl prolylysolosyl valilysolosyl glutamyl alanylosylosyl isylasparaginil cyril alanyl valilysolosyl cyrilt. Steinylarginilysolosyl valylasparaginillosyl 3 and glutamyl asparaginil alanyl glycyl tyrosyl phenylalanil arginil valilcyril. Silysolysylarginil asparaginil tyrosylosyl glutamyl isylarginil glutamyl isyl glutaminol asparaginil esyl tryptophyloso. Glutamyl tryptophylcyril glutamyl isolosyl glutamyl prolylysolosyl 3 and prolylysylcyril aspartyl valyl prolylysolosyl glutami. Aminyl glutamyl phenylalanil glycyl tyrosylistidyl glutaminolosylysolosyl alanyl cyril valyl 3 and asparty lasp. Isolalanyl valylistidil alanylosylarginil glycyl glutamyl valyl cyrylysolosyl iselysolosyl prolyl phenylalanil cyril glycylisi. Sparaginylarginil phenylalanil glycylysolosyl aspartyl glutaminol isyl 3 and valyl glutamylosyl aspartyl valylalanil aspartyl valyop. Nilalanil 3 and alanil glutamyl arginil tryptophylosyl arginil valyl glycyl glutaminol alanil arginil glutamyl 3 and alarginilt. Glutamyl 3 and alarginil glutamyl valyl cyril methional 3 and ilysilalanil cyrilistidyl cyril 3 and ilysyl glutamylosyl tyrosi. Anilaspartyl glutaminol valylosyl valylysyl glutamylysolosyl cyrylysolosyl asparaginilisolosyl alanil arginilistidyla. Valylistidyl glutaminol valyl cysteine glutamyl alanylosyl glutaminol phenylalanilosylistidil cyrilistidil asparaginilisolosyl. Raginil phenylalanil arginilosylosyl phenylalanil 3 and alanil prolyl glutamyl tyrosylalanil prolyl glutamyl valylistidolgal. Utamyl glutamyl alanil phenylalanil isyl glutamylisolosyl cyrylysolosyl glutamyl alanil methional aspartyl phenylalanil valylasparty larg. Nil tyrosylistidyl 3 and ilosylysolosyl isylaspartylysyl asparaginil methional valyl cyrilalanil alanil arginili. Rienyl glutaminol valyl 3 and tryptophyl tyrosyl phenylalanil glycyl valylarginil glutaminolosyl glutamyl asparaginil cyril glutamylase. Urosylalanil glutamylosyl phenylalanil valylysyl glycyl valylarginil glutamyl valyl tyrosylaspartyl tyrosyl cysteinylarginilarg. Riptophyl tyrosylisyl glycyl glutaminol iselysolosyl prolyl glycyl asparty lasparaginil aspartyl isyl tyrosyl 3 and Lysylosyl 3 and valyl 3 and ilosylistidil prolyl 3 and aspartyl cyril 3 and ilosylarginil prolyl methionil pheni. Usylaspartyl tyrosylalanilosylistidil isolosylarginil aspartyl 3 and ilosyl prolyl glutamyl aspartyl 3 and glycyl tyrosi. Nilistidil valyl glutaminol glutaminolysolosyl aspartyl isyl 3 and ilosylarginil methional alanil glutamyl isolosylosyl cyril. Prolylarginil tyrosyl glutaminol 3 and 3 and ilosolosyl glutamyl aspartyl glutaminol arginilosolosyl isyl glutami. Tryptophyl glutaminol phenylalanil tyrosyl valyl methional prolylarginilosolosyl 3 and aspartyl glutaminol tyrosi. Aspartyl tyrosylosyl alanil methional isylarginil 3 and glutamyl arginilosyl glutamyl gluta. Elalanil arginil tyrosyl cyril 3 and tyrosylistidil isolosyl prolyl 3 and ilysilalanil glutamyl alanil cyril 3 and cyril tyrosylalan. Glutamyl isyl cyrilarginil cyrilarginil arginil glutamyl valyl 3 and glutamyl isolosyl 3 and Olil valilcyril glutamylosyl arginil cyrilarginil prolyl glutaminol glutamyl tyrosyl glutamyl asparty laspa. Mylarginil tyrosyl glutamyl valylosyl cyril glutaminol prolyl phenylalanil 3 and ilosyl aspartylistidil alanil prolyla. Glycyl valyl glutaminol cyrilisylysolosyl tyrosyl 3 and asparaginil 3 and cyril glycyl valyl. Olelarginil cyril valyl phenylalanil prolyl glutamylosyl 3 and alarginil 3 and glutamyl alanil tyrosylalanil valyl prolyl cyril phenylal. Anylosyl isyl cyrilosyl isyl cyril 3 and 3 and alarginil iselysolosyl isyl 3 and 3 and Lysyl tyrosylcyl cyryl 3 and phenylalanil glutamal isolysyl cyryl cyrylvalyl glutaminalalanil cyryl aspartyl glutamal glycylase sparagen. Lutamil prolylarginil valylysyl cyryl prolyl glutamal valylysyl cyryl prolylysylarginil valylysyl cyryl prolyl glutamal prolyl seri. Ilvalyl 3 and tryptophyl tyrosylysyl aspartyl glycylysylysylysylysyl glutamal asparaginil glycylistidil phenylalanil glutaminal. Hrianil asparaginil usyl glutaminal phenylalanil methionil glycyl glutaminalalanil phenylalanil lysyl cyrylisylysylistidil glutamylase. Elalanil 3-anyl glycyl glutamal prolylarginil prolyl 3-anyl alanylisol tryptophyl 3-anyl esyl aspartyl glycylysylalanilysol Lanil glycyl cyryl valyl cyryl 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 cystinyl isolysyl 3-anyl isolysylysylalanilysol aspartyl 3-anyl glutamal Cyryl glutamal valylysylysyl cyrylalanil 3-anyl cyrylysyl glutamal cyrylisol valylistidil glutamal glutam. Araginilisolysylalanil glycylalanil 3-anyl aspartyl valylysyl tryptophyl valylysylase sparaginil glycyl valyl glutamalysol 3-anyl Partylalanil prolylalanil phenylalanilisolysyl cyryl glutaminal prolylarginil cyryl glutaminal asparaginilisolysolase sparaginil glutamal. Arginil cyrylarginil asparaginil valyl tyrosyl cyrylysyl glutamalysolisolarginil asparaginil cyryl valyl cyryl aspartyl cyryl glycy. Lanil cyrylysyl glutaminil glutamal cyryl phenylalanil cyryl phenylalanil cyrylalanil cyryl methional 3. Inilysyl glutamal cyryl 3-anyl cyrylysyl methionelysyl isylalanil glycylysolysylarginil glycylysolysyl prolylysylae. Nil 3-anyl aspartylysyl 3-anyl 3-anylysolysolysolysyl methional aspartyl valyl glutaminelysyl glutaminal asparty. Was missing. May I have some?